see sometimes Myron is trying to do logic with the women, and it's just not getting through. And he keeps
Myron. I've seen Myron go back and forth.
He just
with
gets
Zerka.
stuck in a loop with these. Myron gets stuck in a loop with these girls, and at that point, it's like, fuck it.
Zerka
Take Myron out, throw Zerkin in there, just let him troll.
Yeah.
Because that's a good use of him. But as far as like being a serious representation, having like a serious discussion on the actual principles, no way. Because at the end, it's just going to become a bunch of ad hominem attacks, like you were saying.
Yeah.
What do we think about the split in red pill right now? There's a lot of guys taking sides. There's a lot of people saying I'm not red pill, but they're really red pill. They're just like a different shade or something. And there's the PUA guys. We got Sneeko doing his thing. We got the Zerka. Where do y'all just kind of see this all going? Like, are we ever gonna all combine? Like, is the split gonna get worse? Who's gonna lead in this split when it happens? Like, what do y'all think? Go ahead, Michael.
As long as there's money to be made, then no. Because the ones where 700,000 views for my debate with Sneeko with Destiny on Fresh and Fit, and by the way, thank those guys for doing that. And afterwards, by the way, I had dinner with Sneeko 2 times after that, and just great guy, like super nice. But then when I watched some of his content before, I was like, man, he is, it's kind of like, oh, the earth might be flat. And, like it's just like, I just don't, it's one of these things where I don't blame him for enough money. You can get people to say almost anything, you know what I'm saying? But the only reason why I think some people see me as a little less impartial is because I don't make money from YouTube. I make money from my coaching program. And in my coaching program, what we teach is so apolitical that it's not really like, I don't have to go down these paths. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I have a male improvement program. So like hating 304s is not part of the curriculum. There's nothing wrong if you want to do that. That's fine. But that's like, doesn't make you money. It doesn't really get you laid.
Exactly.
So like, that's why, it's not like a priority. It's definitely not a priority in my program. So for me, I've said this before. It's one of the reasons why I debate Holocaust deniers and flat earthers all the time is because there's no risk to my program. Nobody who believes in that shit would ever buy MLA, right? So it's like it's like when I debate an astrologer, no one who believes in astrology would ever buy my coaching program. So it's like zero risk to me, so I can get more views that way, right? So to go back to what you're saying, right today, Pearl, who I just interviewed last week, she Abba and Preach are coming after her, and it's just so fucking unnecessary, Same thing with like, so there's a few things where I draw the line. They don't even get their fucking name deserve to be mentioned on this podcast. The fat kid in Brazil, he doxed Rolo's family.
Yeah.
That to me is where you draw the line.
Yep.
He's a bitch. That's a bitch move. That for sure. If Abba and Preach made a bad video about me, I wouldn't even call him names. I'd be like, hey man, just to be fair, these are the things that you got wrong, and these are the things maybe you got right. If someone made a video about me, like obviously I'm huge on men and women having female friends. I truly thought in the last year I was going to get so much hate over that. And to be fair, I really haven't gotten a ton. It's just YouTube and Twitter commenters who say stuff. But
That's
most
true.
guys, I saw Donovan Sharp the other day be like, yeah, I have female friends too. But the reason why I can have female friends is because I get laid and I have plenty of women, right? And that's my point. 99% of men can't be friends with females. 1% of men can be friends with females because they've got many females in their life. Like if you run a strip club and you think you can't be friends with females, you're going to have a very chaotic fucking strip club.
A lot of the some of the challenges of this red pill movement, I don't consider myself red pill. I'm probably more similar to you, Sergio, more like purple pill.
Yeah.
But a lot of these ideas, I'm Muslim, you're Christian, these things are found in the Bible and the Quran. Men lead, women follow. And, we were talking a little bit about this before the podcast, and you brought up a good point, is like, who's going to be representing this movement? Now, we have these new characters like Zerka coming in. Hilarious. I think he's funny.
Zerka is so fucking entertaining.
Now, I understand he's trolling for the most part.
And he said, by the way, have you ever seen, he'll go on this role where he's almost like sweating, and he's like, yeah, and these blah, 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 blah. And he's just saying all these words that would get anybody canceled. And at the end he goes, hey, nobody cancel me. I'm just kidding. I'm just playing a role. And I'm like, are you playing a role? Are you not? Like, I don't know what's happening.
Well, let's make it funny, right? Yeah, we don't know. But the issue is that he has these other views that he's a flat earther. Yeah. And then after that, if he's representing this movement, and then if you're a flat earther, you're an idiot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And anything you say after is going to be discarded. And we're going to get lumped in with this.
Isn't that the problem? So that's the thing. So Zerka says that he is going. He thinks he potentially is going to replace Andrew Tate. He's going to be the Andrew Dice Clay of the manosphere. And I don't disagree with him. I think he's very fucking entertaining. I think he's way more entertaining than I am. I will definitely agree with that. The problem is that what happens when mainstream media looks to this manosphere and it's like, who is their most popular character? And it's like, well, Andrew Tate is not their most popular character anymore. And Andrew Tate looks like a moderate compared to Zerka.
Yeah.
And instead with Zerko, it's like everyone he dislikes, he calls them a homosexual,
Yeah.
right? And then he goes off and says the Earth is flat. Personally, I find it to be incredibly funny, and
Yeah.
it's super entertaining. But the thing is, like, if that's the congressman you sent to Washington, then how much money is your district going to get now? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's my only concern. Like, I really like listening to him, but is this the end of the red pill? If that's the case, you know.
I'll tell you what, though. I'll tell you what he's good for. I seen him on Fresh and Fit. He has the same IQ level, and he speaks retard fluently like some of the women on the panel. Because you see, sometimes Myron is trying to do logic with the women,
Yeah.
and it's just not getting through. And he keeps
And he can
Myron.
match
I've
their
seen,
energy.
I've seen Myron go back and
He
forth
just
with
gets
Zerko.
stuck in a loop
Yeah.
with these. Myron gets stuck in a loop with these girls, and at that point, it's like, you know, fuck it. Take
Zerko
Myron out, throw
fucks with
Zerkin
the-
in there, just let him troll.
Yeah.
Because that's a good use of him. But as far as like being a serious representation, having like a serious discussion on the actual principles, no way. Because at the end, it's just going to become a bunch of ad hominem attacks, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Is this end stage capitalism whenever we get to a point when there's so much money to be made off of somebody, you know, like so much clicks, you know,
Yeah.
like you're so, it's like you were saying, as long as money can be made in this, you know, this is what's going to happen. Like what, you know, like how do we navigate this, you know, for the next 5 to 10 years, you know, this is going to become a huge deal with influences on people. How is society supposed to navigate this? Should we have laws that affect
No.
this? Should we do
No,
anything?
No, I think it'll get worse, and then we'll just get tired of it. Like, I just don't see, like, my biggest concern is, do you see the Tucker Carlson deep fake where he's saying the N-word over and over again? Have you seen this?
No, I
It's
didn't. That's
incredible.
crazy.
It's absolutely
Yeah, the
incredible.
deep fakes are getting too crazy.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going next, to where, like, we just don't understand if anything's true. I think legacy media is going to be, it'll be still, it's either going to have to significantly change or it's going to completely die. And it's funny because when we think of legacy media, we think of Walter Cronkite and Peter Jennings, and then we think of the New York Times. No, legacy media is actually Fox News Online now. That's legacy media. The BBC Online is now legacy. BBC on YouTube is legacy media now. That's what the point that we've gotten to. So I don't know, man. So I am a firm believer in what's called dataism, and it's comes from Yuval Noah Harari's book. It's called Homo Deus. And basically the idea is anything that speeds up the flow of information, I'm in favor of, and anything that slows down the flow of information, I'm not in favor of. Mm-hmm. I'm in favor of literacy rates so that people can read their own Bible and their own Quran. What I'm against was what the Catholic Church was doing, you know, about 1,000 years ago, where they didn't want people to be able to read. That's why, like, we talk about one of the greatest inventions of all time. If you go to the library at Harvard, do you know what you find as soon as you walk down the first hallway?
Mm-mm.
A Gutenberg Bible. And the reason why that's so incredible is because that's where literacy happened. Once we had the printed word and individuals were able to find information on their own, because the literacy rates were nothing compared, as bad as we think it is in the ghetto with literacy rates. If you go back to the 13th century, hardly anyone could read. Okay.
That's crazy.
And so when you realize that now these people can find their own interpretations of the Bible, not strangely enough, Martin Luther then has the Protestant Reformation, which again, Protestant Reformation does not happen if people can't read.
Yes.
And
Yeah, I was about to say that's
right,
why
so that's the reason it happened. But now there's a new Reformation. Instead of the printing press, it's the internet. And now everyone has access to these things. And some of these things are true and some of these things are not true.
Let me ask you something. Do you think having more access to information in general is going to make our society smarter? Because look at where we are now with all this technology, and we have flat earthers.
No.
I didn't even hear about flat earthers in the 90s, really. But now they're just like, they're a thing.
So the reason why the flat earthers are a thing, and this is a really great point, is because foreign servants agents from Russia and China started creating Facebook groups to sow dissension amongst Americans. It's really funny. All flat earthers descend from some Russian or Chinese Facebook group that created this dissension. The reason why is because when Russia and China look at the United States, they know that they cannot defeat the U.S. militarily. Mm-hmm. So what do? You attack the uneducated populace that they have that doesn't understand the four fundamental laws of physics, four fundamental forces in physics. And so because they don't understand that, then you can convince people, hey, look at the book of Genesis, how it talks about a firmament, and like dinosaurs aren't real, and there's no such thing as volcanoes, and the earth is flat, and all this kind of stuff. You can do that because they don't have any grasp on real physics. Does that make sense? They only have a grasp on empiricism.
I guess my concern is that it seems that there is no linear direction or correlation of like increased access to knowledge of us getting smaller, because it can easily be used against us and in fact make us dumber.
Okay, so what the great way to look at this is, so let's just look at a normal distribution. This bottom 16% is, yes, There's feels over reals. Flat earthers believe in flat earth. There's no way to believe in flat earth if you spend any time looking at round earth. Does that make sense? The same thing with Holocaust deniers. There's no way to believe the Holocaust didn't happen if you actually look at the census records before and after the Holocaust, which shows that there's 6 million people that just fucking apparently vanished, right? They must have went to Russia. No, idiot, they're dead. Or the Nazi officers that literally have things that say they killed 4 million people, and then when they go to Nuremberg, they admit, yeah, this all happened, and then you have thousands of photographs from U.S. service members showing bodies, and they're like, no, this didn't happen. Like, in order to believe the earth is flat, in order to believe the Holocaust didn't happen, you legitimately can't look at the other side. You can spend no time looking at the other side. That's the only way these things exist. Yep. The only reason you do that is because you feel a certain way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And if you feel a certain way, then you, like, for instance, I think AOC is a nutbag, but I try to sit there and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to understand why she would say the things she is. I was like, oh, okay, gives her power, gives her money, radicalizes her base.
So you're saying it's like the smaller, the lower half of
so
distribution.
I'm saying outside of the one distribution,
let's get a little controversial.
They're dumb.
Then.